Time Warner Cable and Metro Sports presents RacinBoys TV with Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott. A look at racing in the Midwest and around the country. Brought to you in part by McCarthy Chevrolet and RacinBoys.com.
Welcome to another edition of RacinBoys TV here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports. We are the RacinBoys from Sports Radio 810 WHB and RacinBoys.com. RacinBoys TV is brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Check them out at McCarthyChevrolet.com. We are at Kansas Speedway on a beautiful sunny afternoon, but unfortunately, Kirk, that wasn't the case last weekend. Mother Nature, the big winner.
Yeah, Hurricane Isaac, the big drought buster here in the area. It's the first time all year that Valley Speedway has had a rain out, and both nights this weekend was called off, as well as only the second time at Lakeside Speedway. We ended up the weekend strong with a big karting event we'll tell you about here in a little bit out at Thunder Lake Speedway.
We've got 3 segments here today for you, as well as an A-Main from Dodge City Raceway Park in Dodge City, Kansas. We're going to show you the Lucas Oil ASCS Sprint Car Dirt Series. We're going to also do a little segment on I-70 Speedway in Odessa, Missouri. And Kirk, last weekend here at Kansas Speedway, they had the Good Guys Car Show. Mother Nature threw them a couple curveballs, but they were able to get it in.
And it's the first time they've had it on the outside of the racetrack with the repaving project going on. It wasn't down in the infield. I think it worked out great. We were out here on Sunday morning, and it turned out to be a great turnout of cars and people for the Good Guys Car Show.
Kirk, let's jump into a little NASCAR action while we're talking about Kansas Speedway. Last weekend at Atlanta, Denny Hamlin picks up the win, but it looked like Martin Truex was on his way to victory, but unfortunately for him, he didn't get that second win because of a late race caution.
And would have been his first win for Michael Waltrip Racing. He had the field covered in this race. That yellow flag coming out, and a pit crew that Denny Hamlin had got him out first, and he was able to hold off Jeff Gordon. And Jeff Gordon, you got to believe that he had his shot to get into the chase, and I think it slipped through his fingers this time, don't you?
Oh, I would agree. Jeff Gordon needed that win in the worst way. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for him. Going into the final race before the chase of the championship, we have 2 wild card positions that are available. 3 guys that I think really have the realistic chance of making the chase for the championship through the wild card is Casey Kane, Kyle Busch, and Jeff Gordon. 8 drivers have a possibility of making it in, but I think those are the 3 main candidates.
And Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin have been the 2 dominant racers at Richmond Speedway, so you got to figure that Kyle Busch has the upper hand of getting that second wild card spot along with Casey Kane.
I got to believe that Kyle Busch is really in the driver's seat going into this final race before the chase for the championship. Let's step back here to the local scene. Kirk, you know, we talked about Valley Speedway raining out as well as Lakeside Speedway. One track that was able to get their show in was Heartland Park Topeka up in Topeka, Kansas. But unfortunately, a little controversy at the end of the last race of the night.
Yeah, they had a green-white checker finish overtime in the modified feature, and that was after the checkered flag had already flown on apparent winner Justin Johnson. But there was a wreck on the back straightaway. Race control ordered the yellow flag to come out, but the yellow didn't come out before Justin Johnson took the checkered flag. So they went back and restarted the race, and this time Josh Everhart was able to get around Justin Johnson for the victory. As you would expect, that created a little bit of stir after the races over in Topeka.
If I was Justin Johnson, I'd be a little upset too. Once the checkered flag falls, the race should be over and official. Kirk, over at the little dirt track down the street from Lakeside Speedway, they had the pro karting event. A lot of professional karters showed up for a lot of money.
Very impressive, the haulers and the rigs that came in for this event. They had over 600 entries for this event that they were able to get it started on Sunday afternoon and completed it with a $2,000 to win race on Monday.
Let's go to Thunder Lake right now and look at some of the highlights from that pro karting event.
It was a busy weekend and a successful one for Norfolk, Nebraska's Kiefer Colleen, who won 5 of 8 feature races.
Yeah, it was pretty big. We were hustling back and forth. Only had one class break between each class, so it was really hard setting everything up for each feature. Then later features on what to do. It was pretty tough, and I was helping out JC Gerlach this weekend too. So basically, I was helping 6 classes going. It's pretty tough this week, and I still can't believe I won all these races. It's a nice weekend. I can't complain.
Kevin Weldon from Aberdeen, South Dakota, collected 2 winning trophies, but fell just short in the weekend finale.
The two races we did win there, started off pretty good. I started on the pole and both of them there, and kind of kind of was able to win both of them there. And then in the pro race, 2000 to win, was leading it there on the last lap and kind of got left reared and shoved up the racetrack, but you'll have that, I guess.
Weldon was in the catbird seat in the 40-lap main event until Dustin Heath gives him the bump coming to the white flag. On through he goes, widening the gap to the checkered flag. The Coal City, Illinois driver collects $2,000 for the big win.
I don't know if I had enough to get it done, but it would go really good there towards the end and on long runs if no one held me up. This is a pretty big win. We normally struggle on this kind of racing, so I'm real happy with getting it done today.
Want to congratulate all the winners out at Thunder Lake. And Kirk, it just goes to show that it doesn't matter if you're driving a go-kart or not. If there's $2,000 on the line for the win, there's going to be some beating and banging.
Yeah, did you get the feeling the winner just wanted to collect his money and get back to Chicago as quickly as he could? You know, that was a pretty impressive move that he made, but I don't think that the loser of that race thought that was so impressive at all.
John O'Neill did a great job with that event, and John O'Neill was a great driver out at I-70 Speedway, which we're going to talk about next here on RacinBoys TV.
Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutal. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay, but you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
I've got this friend, big NASCAR fan.
Yeah!
Totally into it. I say, man, I don't get it. What am I missing here? My buddy says, dude, you have no idea.
Come on out to Kansas Speedway and see what you've been missing. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 on October 21st start at $64, and we have more pricing options than ever before. Call 866-460-RACE or visit kansasspeedway.com.
Welcome back to RacinBoys TV here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports. RacinBoys TV again brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet and Kansas Speedway. We are at Kansas Speedway, Kirk, and this is the first Sprint Cup Series track around this area. But in 1969, the Roberts family built a half-mile track in Odessa, Missouri. It was called I-70 Speedway. I-70 Speedway has been closed for 4 years, but when it was opened in 1969, the Roberts family had a vision of bringing a NASCAR race to that racetrack. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. A lot of drivers cut their teeth at that historical half mile in Odessa. Guys like Mark Martin, Darrell Waltrip, Benny Parsons, Terry Bivens, the list goes on and on of the great drivers that raced there in the 70s.
What a showplace that was all throughout that decade. It was one of the well-known racetracks and created a lot of history for not just here in the Kansas City area, but all over the country.
It's hard to believe the drivers, how they were able to drive that track back in those days. You think about it, these cars weighed somewhere around 4,000 pounds, no power steering, no power brakes. Basically what they were glorified street stocks, and we saw horrendous wrecks out there. Terry Bivens flying over the wall. It's a miracle back in that period of time that more people weren't hurt more seriously.
Yeah, and of course the safety features all got better over time, but man, what excitement it did bring to this area just because of those wrecks. A lot of people traveled in and used to pack the place every time they held a race out there.
They sure did. But unfortunately, pavement racing didn't work out that well in the 70s. And so Greg Weld decided to lease the track. He decided to put some dirt on that. They raced dirt on the racetrack until 1987. Not the greatest of dirt tracks, though.
They'd had some big NDRA shows out there, and I remember a World of Outlaws show out there where those guys like Steve Kinzer were riding up around the outside groove of that racetrack. They were going so fast.
I've talked to many of those sprint car drivers about their time at I-70 when it was their dirt track, and well, I think they're thankful that they took the dirt off of it in 1988, Kirk, and that's when really asphalt racing came back to life here in the Kansas City area. We all know that Lakeside was built in 1989. It was a pavement track. I-70 now was a pavement track. A lot of the local racers that have been racing dirt for many years decided that they were going to take their chances on pavement racing, and they started at I-70 Speedway.
And it was Larry Phillips, the first guy that comes to mind that really knew a lot about pavement racing, but a lot of the guys here in Kansas City, after it was dirt for 4 or 5 years, didn't know much about how to set up a pavement car. And Larry Phillips come in here. Not only did he kick everybody's butt, but he told them how to set up their race cars too.
The 90s might have been the best decade for racing out at I-70 Speedway, though. A lot of guys cut their teeth out there. I started racing out there in 1990. John O'Neill Jr., Billy Deckman, Jeff Clem. The list goes on and on of guys that made their laps and got some victories out at that historical track.
And the rivalries are the biggest thing I remember. Jeff Clem versus John O'Neill Jr. I mean, that was legendary out there. You were either for John or for Jeff. You weren't for both, and that really drew crowds out there, and the racing was just fantastic.
Some of the things that come to mind of that historical racetrack is wrecks like Tony Walls, that horrific wreck they had at the World Cup. Tony Walls set the track record at that event at 16:02, but unfortunately on the first lap, he was rear-ended in a first lap wreck, and man, that was one horrendous fire.
Just a horrific fire indeed, but fortunately he was able to come out okay. But you remember those foam barriers they put up on the walls back in the 90s, and Jody Ridley launched his car outside of turn number 4.
We were talking about John O'Neill over at Thunder Lake, now a promoter. He had 2 devastating wrecks there as well, and pretty much that was the beginning of the end of his career.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad John is able to come back strong, and he's got the Thunder Lake Speedway promoters, but you know, when you hit a wall at I-70 Speedway, you just didn't back your car out and move on like you do at these dirt tracks out there. A lot of times you had wreckers on both ends of these cars. I never went to a race at I-70 Speedway where I at least didn't see that once every night I went out there.
If you spun out, it usually cost you about $1,500 at the minimum. It could cost you your entire race team. Again, just pounding the wall out there at that racetrack. So many drivers that did that. You can think about them over and over as you look at some of the highlights right now. We move into the 2000s, though, Kirk. New owners purchased that racetrack from Ted Carlson, and unfortunately, they did not have the bankroll that it took to keep that track up and running.
And that is very sad because, as we talked about earlier, it was such a legendary racetrack. You'd have thought it would have lasted forever. Somebody would always be interested in operating I-70 Speedway, but it did fall into a state of disrepair over the years. Wasn't kept up as well as it should, and the infrastructure of the racetrack had to be rebuilt, and somebody with a lot of money would have had to come in and save I-70 Speedway, and unfortunately that just hasn't happened over the last few years.
Kirk, we talked to Forrest Lucas down at Lucas Oil Speedway, and he told us as much. He said that he went up there and looked at that racetrack, and it was too fast, and people couldn't afford to race there. He'd never seen a race there, but he nailed it. That's exactly the case.
Yeah, well, the one thing we always have, for those of us that were able to go to I-70 Speedway, we have our memories. That's what's left of I-70 Speedway.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be going out to Kansas Speedway for the Good Guys Car Show. Stay tuned for more here on RacinBoys TV.
In ancient times, hordes of people gathered to watch gladiators battle to achieve victory and honor. Some things never change. See the toughest competitors of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series do battle at Kansas Speedway. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 on October 21st start at $64, and we have more pricing options than ever before. Bring your own cooler, and parking is free. For tickets, call 866-460-RACE or visit kansasspeedway.com.
Welcome back to RacinBoys TV. I'm Kirk Elliott out at Kansas Speedway. We're brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet, and it's become a Labor Day tradition here at Kansas Speedway, the Good Guys Custom Rod and Auto Show. And this year, a little bit different. Of course, Hurricane Isaac threw a monkey wrench into the first 2 days, but Sunday turned out to be a beautiful day. And this year, they held the show behind the grandstand rather than the infield because of the repaving project, and it turned out to be a great spot for it, and they're looking forward to 2013.
Well, this is our 11th year at Kansas Speedway, and we chose a Labor Day weekend about 6 years ago. We were looking for a holiday weekend where people would have that extra day to travel, get out with the family, come out and enjoy themselves. The event itself has been blossoming at this particular facility. It's a great place to do our event. We love the staff to work with. It's top shelf, best you can get. And having the event inside the oval, usually what we do, we can do the track cruise, and we've got our autocross. We've got a lot of movement going on at our events, which is really what we're striving for. But, you know, 2,000 cars, 2,500 cars is about where we're at. Anything from early Ford hot rods to 50s customs to 60s muscle cars. And now we've even added our Super Sunday get-together, which is all years American-made and American-powered. So that kind of spices up the Sunday for us too as well. We're seeing more and more interest, not only from the traditional 32 guy, but to the muscle car generation that's starting to come up. So the 30 to 40-year-olds are bringing out cars that they drove in high school that they can work on. And so we're seeing that constant, you know, renewal of interest and passion. And then we're introducing the younger guy to those classic hot rod body styles, you know, to the 50s customs and to the 40 Fords and those type of cars. So it's really full circle. And what's really interesting is we can get 3 to 4 generations of car owners at our events. We actually park cars under the concourse when a little drizzle, if you didn't know, you know, Hurricane Isaac came to town unexpectedly. But we had coverage. We had an area to get out of the rain. And the facility, again, I can't give them enough compliments. They did a great job on taking care of us and getting our cars where they needed to go. We're back on for Labor Day. We're looking forward to it. We love the facility. We love the relationship we built up. And we're looking forward to continuing to grow the event.
Got a 1968 Camaro. My father bought a few years ago. When he bought it, it had an inline 6 in it. We took the inline 6 out. Put a V8 in it, a 454, so there's a lot of motor under the hood there. Been out here in years past and as lookers, just out here enjoying the weather. Got some good weather today. Had some rain last couple days, so there's a lot of people, a lot of cars out here today. Having a good time.
I bought it probably about 5 years ago, started restoring it. It took me about 3 years to restore it. I did all the work except for the body work and paint job. Had to job it out. I don't have a facility to do it in. So I got hold of another guy, he did that, but I did the engine work, transmission, put the interior together, bought it as a kit, put it all together, did the framework and everything else on it and get it all back together on it, and been driving it the last 3.5 to 4 years now. The biggest thing is now you've got availability of buying all the parts now. They're easier to come by, where before, when I started on it, they were available, not as easy. The vendors were all out in California, where now they're right around Kansas City area, and you can get all this stuff in Kansas City. It makes it easier to find the stuff now. I got a 94 Chevrolet van engine and transmission. It gives me an overdrive and it's throttle body fuel injection. I rebuild it and change cam in just a little bit to give it just a little more horsepower, put it back in it, and then I had the transmission rebuilt by a transmission shop. It's computerized operated, which gives me an overdrive. And I took it to Des Moines, Iowa, and 4th of July weekend and got 22 miles a gallon of gas out of it. So that gets better than any driver I got at home.
Been building it for about 4 or 5 years now. Did most of the work myself. It's got a big block Chevy, 540 cubic inch Merlin motor, 5-speed transmission. Just put a little money into it each year as I can afford it. Yeah, we come every year. It's quite nice. This year they didn't have it inside the track because they had construction going on, but it turned out pretty good out here. It's a pearl white with white ghost flames in it. It was already painted when I bought it. Didn't have no interior. I had to have the interior put in, and had a different motor when I bought it and different transmission. But like I say, I just work on it little by little. Just all pure white with red pleating, and old guy done it for me, and he passed away since, but he did a pretty good job on it.
Our producer Todd Surprise and I had a great time out here for the Good Guys Car Show. Can't wait for it to come back in 2013. We're going to switch things up here a little bit on RacinBoys TV. Coming up next, Scott Traylor will rejoin you. He was out at Dodge City, Kansas for coverage of the Wicked City Shootout, Lucas Oil ASCS Sprint Car Dirt Series event. You'll see Sunday night's main event when we come back here on RacinBoys TV.
Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutal. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay, but you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy, or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinions, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Welcome back to RacinBoys TV here on Time Warner Cable's Metro Sports. As most people know, RacinBoys.com broadcasts all the Lucas Oil ASCS Sprint Car Dirt Series presented by MAV TV races on RacinBoys.com. I was out at Dodge City Raceway Park last weekend in Dodge City, Kansas. The Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour was out there. Jeff Swindell picks up back-to-back victories. The first time ever for Randy Washburn's team to win an A-Main, let alone win 2 in a row. I took the camera out on Sunday night, thought I'd shoot a little video. We thought we'd show it to you here on RacinBoys TV.
Green flag set to wave this time out of turn number 4. Jeff Swindell looking to sweep the weekend here at Dodge City. Last night's winner, we'll see if he can walk away with the $4,000 payday. We'll see can his car owner Randy Washburn get win number 1, number 2 in the same weekend. We're going to find out of a turn number 4. Here comes the American Sprint Car Series to the green. Just like that, Jeff Swindell will jump out to the race lead. The slick surface through turns 1 and 2. The field fans out to the back straightaway. 3 and now 4 wide towards the tail end of the field. Has a battle for the race lead. Here comes Brian Brown with a slide job. Side by side into turns 1 and 2. Brown going to apply the pressure down to the inside line. Jeff Swindell's there. Jeff Swindell reclaims the race lead. Brian Brown leading lap number 1. Jeff Swindell stealing it back down the back straightaway. Brian Brown's not done there. He'll go for another slide job into turns 3 and 4. Blackjack Brian Brown back to the race lead. He leads 1. He leads lap number 2 as they work into turns 1 and 2. As they work into turns 1 and 2, but the driver now on the move is going to be the 41 to Jason Johnson. Jason down to the inside on Tony Bruce. That's the battle for 6 in the back straightaway. Bruce able to hold on to it. Wood, just like in his heat race, has the wing pulled back, and he is trying to get the run right to the middle through turns 3 and 4 as he goes after the Pride Ag Resources 0. Of Jeff Swindell's lookout car goes around the exit turn number 4. That's the 21X of Taylor Velasquez. Set to go green this time of a turn number 4, single file. Again, the cone has been placed on the front straightaway. Brian Brown looking to pick up the win. A solid 3rd place last night. He wants to better it by 2. Here we go to the green. Your field will race into turns 1 and 2. Wayne Johnson now going to battle for 3rd. Danny Wood to the middle of the racetrack. Wayne Johnson to the bottom. Wayne Johnson going to run it forward. Danny Wood going to hold on to 3rd as they work into turns 3 and 4 now. Wayne Johnson with a big slide job as they'll go 3 wide. Here comes Brady Bacon. Brady Bacon throws his name into the mix now. Danny Wood able to hold on to 3rd. Holds off the 99, and he's going to steal away 4th now from Wayne Johnson. Jason Johnson sitting in 8th as we've got a car upside down in turns 1 and 2. Red flag must wave. Jeff Swindell trying to steal away his thunder as he lines up in 2nd. Danny Wood in 3rd. Wayne Johnson, Brady Bacon, your top 5. We're back away. 24 laps to go. 24 laps remain. 6 laps in the books is now Tony Bruce Jr. will slide to the high side of Brady Bacon. He'll steal away 5th on the restart. Bacon will fall back to 6th as they'll work into turns 3 and 4. It's going to be a 3-wide battle for 2nd. Here comes Wayne Johnson and Danny Wood. Wayne Johnson to the back bumper. Danny Wood now as they work into turns 1 and 2. Wood slides it up off the bottom. The 77X of Wayne Johnson goes to the inside line, and here comes Tony Bruce Jr. Tony Bruce Jr. on the high side with the run. He's going to steal away 4th into turns 3 and 4. Wayne Johnson going to fight back to the inside line. Slides it up. Tony Bruce Jr. right between the 77X and the wall. He's able to steal away into turns 1 and 2. Wayne Johnson now going to slide back to 6. Brady Bacon to the inside line going to steal away as we'll have 22 laps to go, 8 in, 22 to go. Brian Brown starting to open up his race lead as he'll cross the start-finish line. Jeff Swindell will cross the line in 2nd. He is 1.416 seconds back from Brian Brown, and he's being challenged by Danny Wood, and now Tony Bruce Jr. going to make it a 3-car battle for the runner-up spot. 3 cars for 2nd into turns 3 and 4. Danny Wood down to the bottom. The car winged over all the way to the left side. He's got the run. It's a drag race at the line. Jeff Swindell holds on to it. Jeff Swindell holding on to 2nd by just over a 1/10 of a second as they work off of turn number 2, though Danny Wood's going to steal away. With a borrowed engine under the hood of the 18, Tony Bruce Jr. is going to fight to the inside line on Jeff Swindell. They work into turns 3 and 4. Swindell to the high side. Tony Bruce Jr. now to the inside. Swindell's going to hold the advantage. Tony Bruce Jr. rolls out of the throttle, gets right back behind the 0 as they work into turns 1 and 2. Both drivers battling for 2nd as now they're going to go after your race leader right to the middle of the racetrack. They nearly ran right into the back of Brian Brown. Brian Brown able to pull away, though, as they work to the back straightaway. Less than 12 laps to go. Brian Brown right around the bottom of the racetrack. Jeff Swindell, Tony Bruce Jr. both right in line on the high side. Danny Wood still running it 4th. Then is Brady Bacon running at your top 5. Wayne Johnson, Logan Forler, Johnny Herrera, Jason Johnson, Zach Chappell, your top 10. Into 11th will go Dustin Morgan. 12th is going to be the 11G of Mike Goodman. As a 3-car battle for the race lead, Brian Brown held up behind Ricky Montgomery. Into his back bumper, Jeff Swindell and Tony Bruce make their way by. Brian Brown held up by slower traffic, and here comes Tony Bruce. Bruce to the inside line. You've got a new leader. Tony Bruce Jr. will steal it away. Tony Bruce Jr. steals it away into turns 3 and 4. Takes it right up against the concrete. Jeff Swindell right to the middle. We've only got 9 laps to go. 9 more times around the Dodge City Raceway Park. Jeff Swindell still right there with Tony Bruce Jr. They clear Gary Taylor. They'll put him a lap down the competition down the back straightaway. As Jeff Swindell and Tony Bruce Jr. Tony Bruce, the local driver out of Liberal, Kansas. Jeff Swindell, the storied veteran, to the inside. Randy Washburn Motorsports back to the right side. Tony Bruce into the wall. Tony Bruce just slapped the outside concrete. And it's Jeff Swindell back to the race lead as they work on the white flag lap one more time around. Tony Bruce Jr., he's within striking distance, but does he have enough to get the run into the final 2 turns? This time, the checkered flag is going to wave. Tony Bruce will close in the drag race, and Jeff Swindell will hold on. Jeff Swindell, by 0.124 seconds at the line, will grab the win.
Well, you had to feel that Brian Brown was on his way to victory, as well as maybe Tony Bruce leading late into that race, but unfortunately for him, he did not find the rubber as quick as Jeff Swindell did, picking up back-to-back wins for Randy Washburn at Dodge City Raceway Park.
Man, what a race. There's so many things that went on during that event. It's just hard to keep track of it all, but congratulations to Jeff Swindell. He had a spectacular weekend at Dodge City.
I recommend if you get a chance to go out there to that track out in Dodge City, Kansas, do so. You will be thrilled with the action that they produce on the track. For Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor. We'll see you next week right here on RacinBoys TV.